Hello, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews, and today we're looking at Black Clover Chapter 93, Manga Stream have done it again, they've released it, so this is a good sign that they'll continue to do that, and I'm hoping to review this on a regular basis earlier in the day. Might not be this early because I'm off work earlier, but I'm going to get this done. I've got to deal with the doctor's appointment for my little one, and then I'll be back to do My Hero Academia. So, let's quickly go over what this chapter is about, and then I'll break down my points, because with Fana losing control and looking to, go sell on us and blow up the world, Asta and Mars have to make their move. This chapter is very much point of views. Fanzel's point of view, Mars's point of view, Zamath, Asta's point of view, and the point of view of other people and the resolution of conflict. It might seem simple, it might seem straightforward, but there's so many implications, and let's get into it one point at a time. 5 point of view, here we go. So, the first point of view is Fanzel's point of view, and he's observing Mars, Math, and Asta's ability. I say Mars and Math because the translations, whichever one you read. Anyway, he is impressed by how they're dealing with such an immense situation, with so much flame, so much power, and not even flinching, not even getting scared. And that really shows that in terms of will, in terms of steel, in terms of battle tenacity, they're on that level, where it's comparable but for both people. They might be from different kingdoms, but when it comes to saving someone's life, boom. This is important because they're both technically his students in one way or another. His most amazing student was Mars, and his most recent student was Asta. But for him to hold them in the same regard shows a lot about Asta's potential, his battle prowess, and how much he may go in the future. So that's point number 1. Bear that in mind. Point number 2. Mars or Math, his point of view. Now his point of view is to do with Asta, and he basically breaks down from the last time he fought him till now. Even though he's fought many masters and many people that are controlling of the control of magic and the battle prowess and skill, they're considered masters, and he hasn't found someone with enough drive, with enough determination, with enough tenacity and willingness to win compared to Asta. And his willingness to save someone, to go out the way to protect someone, gives him the right to be called a knight. He is the embodiment of what you would determine is the ideal candidate to be a knight, and that is an important thing. Now he's not a knight in shining armor because we need to get him shining armor, but he's considered a knight. This is important because if a former enemy, now ally, sees you in that way, bearing in mind he has very limited experience with you, it shows who you truly are. Why this is important is because a lot of the times, and this you can take this from real life as well, you get to know someone, you don't see him as much, you see him every once in a while, and you think, you know what, you're the coolest person I know. And then you spend time with them, and you spend days upon days with them, day after day after day, and you think, you know what, you're not as cool as I thought. And it's kind of like that, but when you go from being an enemy to a friend, and you see for a person for they truly are, and you can't help but be impressed, it shows you what kind of person Asta is. Point number 2. Point number 3. Asta's point of view. And a really good thing from the author and the mangaka, because when you look to the main character, when you look to understand his ideals, his philosophy, his way of being, his drive, these type of situations actually show you how he thinks, because he breaks down Mars and he's looking at it's his opinion on Mars, and we see that because we want to understand what he's like. So what he talks about the huge power he has, and he talks about the warmth he has. And the warmth is important because it kind of reminded me of Naruto days when Karen's talking about Sasuke and talking about Naruto, and he's basically saying there's a difference in their chakra, and he's really warm, where Sasuke is really cold and scary. So I like the way that he's made that distinction. He's talking about control. So what he's looking at a person's overall character, being a good person or a bad person. He's looking at skill in the control he has over his ability, and he's looking at power in general, so the mass output. So he is actually technically breaking things down, and you can see he's quite logical and methodical in his approach about analysing people. And that's a good thought to have and a good process to have for a person we deem as being a bit of a bonehead. So I like the idea that he actually is quite strategic when he needs to be. And the most important thing he says, he goes, the will to protect someone means he cannot be broken. So you understand the mental element of the game as well when it comes to fighting. So pretty impressed with that observation by Asta. And as always, we know Maz was a badass to begin with. That's why I was so happy he came back. Point number 3. Point number 4. Now point number 4 isn't really a point of view, but it kind of is in a sense, because it really covers the trust and feeling that the other members have in Asta and Maz. Mainly Asta, because a lot of them are more experienced with Asta. They will stand there and watch this to the end, even they can't like logically participate or make a positive contribution, although I disagree, I'm sure they could. But they are willing to stay to the end and see it out, to see the outcome of the battle, because they have that much faith in Asta. Again, reinforcing the point that he's built relationships and built trust. Sign of a good leader. Might not be completely the most charismatic individual in the world, but he does build trust. Important points for a person that wants to be the Sorcerer Emperor, right? Point number 4. Now, point number 5 is probably the most important. The reason why is because this is really the nuts and bolts, the meats and, the meats and fries, or whatever you want to call it, the creme de la creme of the chapter. And I'm trying to keep all of the points short because they were relatively short, but this is where everything comes together. So, for number 1, the protective move that Maz does to protect Asta, brilliant, because it keeps him in the game, it keeps him fighting, and he's able to help in that situation. Number 2, now because of this, he's able to nullify this big explosion. Because of that, then Maz is able to move, he gets into the zone, even when she starts letting out a fire, he is fire, it is fine. So logically, they have broken down the enemy's strongest attack, dangerous attack, and dealt with the situation without really communicating. It was kind of like they were in sync, like the perfect tag team. Now, this is where it's interesting. We have 2 sets of memories. We have memories that she had when she was Fana and she knew Maz, and the promise to see the world, and then she was meant to have died, and she said, see the world for me. And these other memories that seem to be completely different. It was a clash. And then by the end of it, she remembered, and she remembered who he was, and they made a promise to see the world together. And the promised world is the name of this chapter. But that eye disappeared. It didn't fall out. It wasn't destroyed. It disappeared. Now, when you look at the translation, bearing in mind this is a scanlation, the official release is on Monday, but bearing that in mind, it says the curse has been released. Second time we've seen a curse. First time we've seen a curse is something that Vet did. It's a curse, and that's maybe the true reasoning behind the eye. So this might be some type of possession, I'm believing, and this is where the theory comes into it, where it's possessing a host, a vessel with memories of a past that they may or may not have experienced, the demons. Speaking of that, do you not think it's interesting that the person who's left at the end of the third eye is Liar? Liar is the last one. He's pretending to be somebody else. He could have had that power a very long time. For some reason, he seems like the betrayer to me. He seems a lot older than he's putting out. He might be a person that's actually many years old, and actually he knows more about the past than we think. And for some reason, he's going to be a key figure for me. Just because they've left him to the end, it just seems too convenient. Oh, well, just leave him to the end. He's got this power to fool people. Ooh, it seems too convenient. So I think the idea is the third eye is actually false memories implanted for you to be kind of like a symbiotic relationship, like you have in Spider-Man with Venom and Carnage, where they take over the host and implant different memories. That's why I guess it's in the forehead, the frontal lobe of the brain, because it can impact the memories more directly, I guess, in the brain, and put false memories that could motivate a person to do different things. That is my theory. The chapter ended up nicely, a nice kind of a good feel chapter, but then what happens next? We're going to have a cool down. Are we going to go back? What's going to happen with Yami? What's our next thing? And did we really make the most of the people that went to the other lands and went to the library? We want to see that put back in place. So I'm hoping other arcs can develop from this. I'm hoping for a Hearts Kingdom somewhere along the line, maybe a Spades Kingdom, and I really want to see Yami's hometown, his home country, all very, very soon, and many more secrets will be revealed. That is my review. Plenty to look forward to, plenty to be excited about. Hope you enjoy my theory at the end. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, and all the good stuff. Especially comment, because I really like that. I really like building communication channels with the audience, who I don't see myself as, you're not subscribing to me. You're becoming friends with me, and we're building a community. Let's carry on building that. Please comment. You could just say you liked it. You can give me pointers. You could just give me a theory. Anything is welcome. I look forward to it. As always, please take it easy. I'll see you next time.